in one of my favorite cities on the planet. Ask any questions below, and I'll look right at the end and see if anybody has anything. Excited to introduce you guys to Vanessa. She's awesome.
Thank you.
I love when I find out people are in San Diego. Every once in a while, someone will pop on and like, "Oh, you're in San Diego. That's awesome." I have so many close friends there.
Yeah, it's a cool place. I think we'll probably be in LA though soon.
That was my next move as well.
Yeah,
As soon as I got tired of driving from San Diego to LA, because I was
I
going
know.
more and more, it was necessary.
I hear you.
Yeah, I lived in LA for 6 years also.
Oh, that's cool. Which part?
The most recently before I moved here was Playa del Rey, which is beautiful. I love Playa del Rey.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
right there at the ocean.
Yeah, we lived in Santa Monica.
Yeah, I mean, I love that whole stretch. That would be my only, personally, that would be the only place that I would even consider as that stretch of, I mean, it could be anywhere. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you have, was it Huntington Beach, Hermosa Beach? You have all the beaches. Like, I like all of those
Yeah,
on that whole
Manhattan
stretch.
Beach, all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right, we are starting. Vanessa, just like to give everybody a chance to tune in. And if they catch us, they catch us. If not, they'll see it when I put this out. All right.
Sounds good.
Search. Oh, well. Only challenge is they don't let you copy and paste on Instagram when I'm putting the message on the live, so I have to type it every time. Facebook
Mm-hmm.
or YouTube to see us both. Awesome. Okay, we are ready. All right. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Enlightened Conversations. Really excited for today and to introduce you guys to today's guest. We have Vanessa Petronelli. I didn't ask if I pronounced her name right before we started, so that was my best go. But I'm excited for you guys to introduce you guys to her. She is in one of my favorite cities on the planet, down in San Diego, and we're gonna have an awesome conversation today. I discovered Vanessa on Instagram a few weeks ago and just was excited to see how she was impacting and inspiring and uplifting people. And Vanessa is have it here. I'm refreshing your thing now, so I get this right because I had it written here. There it is. She's a celebrity life coach and speaker and trans channel and just all around awesome human. And I'm excited to flow some energy with her today with you guys. So without further ado, from me, I want to introduce you guys to Vanessa. And Vanessa, if you can share for the audience so they're more familiar with you, who you are, what you do, why you do it, all that good stuff.
Such a bunch of big questions.
Right.
Awesome. Who am I? How much time do we have, Noel? Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, thank you for having me on today. It's great to be and with those who are watching this and tuning in. Thanks for being here. So I work with and support God, coach. I do spiritual transformational work with leaders, so purpose-driven leaders, with celebrities in Hollywood, industry professionals, and entrepreneurs. And I help them to get their deepest gifts activated, to become more aligned, their purpose with their mission, with who they're here to be. And oftentimes when somebody comes to me and they find me for my work, they have been all the things that used to work but are not working anymore to take them to the next level. They feel like there's an upgrade available, there's something more that they're here to and experience and contribute to the world, but they're in that gap, and that gap has them feeling stuck, stagnant, confused, uncertain about what or what needs to shift in order to move into that next level. And so I do all of the deep inner, work, the energetic work, and we also do very practical 3D oriented work to make that shift possible in our work together. I've been doing this for 11 years. I've been on personal, spiritual, and personal developmental journey for, oh gosh, between 15 to maybe 17 years now. it's been the premise of everything I do. I've been a spiritual, very tuned in, intuitive individual since I was a little girl, very tapped, had a lot of my intuitive and energetic centers open. I spent 10 years in the entertainment industry as a teenager and a young woman, entrepreneur pretty much my whole life. I had a marketing and event marketing and promotions business in my 20s that I owned, and then I opened this 25 years old, 24, 25 years old. I taught yoga, meditation, built my coaching and my healing practice from the ground. Originally from Canada, moved to California. I think it's 5 years now? Yeah, 5 years this year in May that I've been here. Number, guys, I'm sorry. all the timelines and everything just become a blur after a while. And I've been here. So why for me and where I am now with my work, I do private work with clients, I do live events, I do, online group experiences. I've done, many online programs to support people and guide people. But my main focus has really been on taking this work into Hollywood and really helping to shift the consciousness in this industry. Spending 10 years in it myself, I know what it's like to be in front of the camera as a model, an actress, and I used to dance as well. I also know what it's like behind the scenes, not so much behind the camera, but what kind of happens in where the curtain is, and knowing that there's so many things that the public doesn't know, what's going on in this industry. This industry has the ability to really help to shift the consciousness of the masses on a global level in a very, very way. So with my work and working with people who are in that industry, which lights me up, I can't even tell you, I just absolutely love working with actors and writers and producers and people who are like in that industry on a daily basis, working all the time, having the opportunity to work with these artists and visionaries is really, really enlightening for me, because that industry has the ability to so many people. So that's been a big part of what I've been doing. I've been doing a lot of media work, and I've been out in the public eye doing my work, and I'm currently working on my now and hoping to get that published. The intention is to get that published this year by a major publisher. So that's a little bit about me, what I've got going on. I want to give you the full, very intricately detailed aspects of my story, but I think it will give you all a scope of what for me right now, what I do.
Absolutely. You inspired me in a few different ways right there, Vanessa, and then I have a question for you. But I think it's awesome where your excitement lies as far as working in the entertainment industry, because this is one of these industries where they have a lot of influence as far as what you mentioned. A lot of eyeballs are looking at the entertainment industry always. And it's one of those industries where it sounds like the people that are being attracted into your path and that you're excited to work with, they have attained some level of, what we would call success as far as, in the world, in the United States, or what have you. And at the same time, this is a lot of times where you'll hear stories, in this segment in every segment, but, when people have attained success, but they haven't gotten the inside the way that they'd like it to be. Like they're still, they haven't worked with you yet. They haven't become aware of who and what they truly are just yet. This could be the sad story sometimes where it's like they seem to have everything on the outside, but inside they're not, feeling whole and complete. And that could be miserable for any human being, because so many of us, and I was here in the past as well, where, I thought, I'll be happy when I have this level of success, or, this notoriety, or whatever it is. And that journey, like, to there is just, it's not a happy one. And unfortunately, the people that, probably, thank goodness for me, I didn't attain some of the things that I thought I wanted to when I was in my early 20s, mid 20s, because I wouldn't have most likely done the work that I've done since. But I love what you're doing, because you're able to, take people that have figured it out as far as the career success wise, and for you to help them, get, right on the inside to where they're feeling good as well and able to, be even better at what they do is awesome, because then they can make the impact that they truly can make. So I love that about what you do. Is that part of why it excites you, because you kind of see the need as well in that industry?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and I know firsthand what that industry's like. And I think, there's so stories and narratives that the public has about people who are in this industry, but they actually don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. And, because I'm not just talking about celebrities, because that's a whole other beast. When you're working with somebody at that high level in the industry, there's a lot of protection. There's a lot of that are controlled. But when you are an artist, you have so many open channels in your whole body and in your whole being energetically, and there is such a direct connection to spirit and to source to be able to move into those parts. But there's also so much deep insecurity and frustration and rejection and a feeling of not being enough and good enough. There's a lot of that, because constantly being judged, not just for your talents. It's one thing when you're, behind the scenes, or when you're doing coaching work, like you're going to be judged on the quality of your work, right? But when you're in that industry, especially if you're in front of the camera, you're not just judged for the quality of your work. You're also judged on how you look, what your is like, et cetera, who all these things. So it's an industry that has a lot of different components that really can alter somebody's trajectory in their career, or in their visions or dreams of what they really want to achieve in that industry. And it really, I know for me personally, when I was in that industry, the toll that it took on my own self-esteem, and whether you can argue that those things were always there and then brought them to the surface, or if the industry shaped me as a young woman into believing and seeing myself in certain ways, there was a lot of this project, when I have this, or when I look more like that, or when I lose 10 more pounds, or when I'm, there's this constant external focus and feeling of almost spinning in your own personal stories around how you think and how other people might be perceiving you, and just this feeling of be that person for everyone. You never actually feel like, well, I could lose the 10 pounds, or I could, look better this way, but then might still have an opinion about that and say, well, I don't want that. So you're constantly kind of chasing after this illusion of who you might be, or who you could be, someone in that industry, versus actually just being yourself and knowing that that's the gift, and then the talent and the skills come behind that. So on one hand, and that's what really lights me up, because I know firsthand what it's like. And the other piece is, absolutely, I mean, we look at these people and we think, wow, they have all this money. Like, how could they, of course you should be happy. How can they not be happy? They have these lives, they're doing things that people would dream of, but that doesn't mean anything, and is really about fulfillment. Like, we are here to fulfill our divine plans, as I call it, and what we've come here to do. And we're to be fulfilled human beings. And fulfillment doesn't mean that we're going to be happy every day, positive every day, everything's going to be working out perfectly every day. It's really about finding this fulfillment, knowing that no matter what's going on through life, you've got your back. You feel that wholeness. You feel complete within yourself. You are loving yourself. You're showing yourself as much and as often as possible. So you develop, deeper resourcefulness and resiliency through all of the things that life throws your way. And you're also making choices on who you're surrounding yourself with, what you're putting in your body, how you're showing up day to day, the projects or the type of work that you're doing. I mean, fulfillment, taking radical responsibility for your own contentment and peace and happiness.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love it. You're helping just the whole person, versus just focusing on just a few, external
Right.
things. And I love it. I have a question for you, but first I'm going to plug in my computer, because it just blinked at me and I thought it was plugged in. Give me one quick second, and this won't be in the edited version.
No problem.
Speaker. Okay. Nobody ever gets to see these parts when I'm not live.
Real life.
I love it. I like being live. So you just inspire me a lot. But I'm always curious because I heard you mention when you shared your timeline as far as being on your own personal growth journey for the last 15 or so years. It always fascinates me how people choose to make the shift from, wow, these are things that have definitely impacted me. And there's, certain ones, of us that choose to also share these things and want to impact other people. For you, how did you make the shift to knowing, okay, I'm in the industry, and then I actually am really excited to help people in the industry. Like, how did that shift come about for you?
Yeah, so I'll rewind a little bit because I think this is kind of an interesting part of my story. So when I was 14, I started to hear a voice. It sounded like the voice of God, these soul, angels, whatever. But I interpreted it as God basically directing me and putting me into the entertainment industry. I never had any dream or desire to be in that industry. Nobody in my family was in that industry. So there was really no influence externally, internally up until that point to be in that industry. Was I very creative? Yes, I was a piano player for 10 years, classically trained. I could sing. I had no desire to do that industry professionally, to be in that industry. But at 14, a voice said, you're going into the entertainment industry and you're going to go into it and you're going to help a lot of people being in that industry in a positive way. And I knew from a young age that I had a very important mission, that I was put on the planet for a specific reason. And, very early on, I was already exploration mode of what would that be? What would that look like? And at 14, that was like the first real clear answer I got that resonated in my being as truth. Because when I heard it, it was like, oh, wow, there's weight to this. Like, even at that age, I knew instinctively that there was some resonance or truth on that. Literally, I mean, I can't remember exactly the precise timeline, but literally shortly after that, everything reality transpired for me to end up in a female pop group. I got one of the top agents in North America. I am singing, is going to auditions, doing all this neat stuff. And so I spent probably about the first 5 years like really immersed in school and all that. I got my university education, but I was also a seeker and I was always questioning things. And my questioning to get me down into the rabbit hole of very much looking at why the world we live in is set up as it is and questioning it. I would see there's so many adults complaining about going to work and people, having only 2 days off for the weekends and people not looking happy. And I in to go into the city for auditions and jobs that I used to do. And I would see everybody just looking so robotic and just their energy was just so low. And I was always wondering to myself, like, why do we put ourselves through this as humans? Why do we take this as this is life? I'll tell you. And in the midst of that questioning, I started to get into, personal development. I even got into conspiracy theories. I, was really reading up and researching, how can we as human beings not follow the pack, so carve out our own destiny, carve out our own happiness, carve out our own fulfillment. And that's what sort of started to get me into working on myself, like doing the inner work. And, at an early age, I was, doing Louise Hay's work around 20 years old. I went to Landmark and, went through that. Not the full thing, mind you, but, here I was doing this work. I had 23 managers in singing. I had a life coach, my first life coach. And by then it had already been several years that I was doing this inner work on myself. And something started to happen. There was this feeling of this is not aligned for me anymore. I wasn't feeling fulfilled myself doing the work, getting closer to Hollywood, because that was always the dream, to get to Hollywood, to work on big film projects as an actor. that would make a difference in the world. In my event business, I was pushing products to consumers that were basically lying, saying they were healthy or not harming the environment, and they were. And so I started to see nuances and subtleties playing out in my life of where I wasn't in integrity anymore with like the divine plan that I was on, the path I was on. And then at 23, challenged me by the end of our sessions and said, I don't think you're cut out for this anymore. And even though on a very deep level, I knew that was true, my ego, my mind was like, well, I've been doing this for 10 years. Like, F you, I'm going to go. I'm going to go to Hollywood. I'm going to go and do this. I'm not giving this up. I'm not willing to let go. What had me transition, because this is why I needed to rewind and kind of give you the setup, is at around 24, when I was set to pursue this acting career. I had agencies that I was going to meet here in Southern California. I ended up getting this virus over my mouth, inside my mouth, and on my face. And it was the symptoms had to come out in this way to stop me from getting on that plane and going. Because I was so sick, I was bedridden for about 3 weeks with this viral infection and bacterial infection on my face. And I knew that the sign that God, the universe, was saying, you're not going, this is not your path, and I'm actually protecting you right now. And from there on, I started to slowly my, connections to the industry and started to go into a soul exploration and some soul searching of what am I do, who am I here to be? And during that time, I discovered yoga and meditation and started to have some of my spiritual gifts get activated. And then I went back to and started to do the coaching stuff and opened my business while I was in school, because I had the clarity. The voice came back just before then saying, you're here to help people on a big level, the things that you loved. And over the years, I had fallen in love with coaching. I had fallen in love with alternative health and wellness and energy healing and yoga and meditation. So that basically was the gateway or the open door to doing all this work and stepping into that. But I was reluctant, for some time, because I had put heart and soul and energy and time and focus and money into, my original career. But then full circle, now we know I had to go through that because I'm now back in that industry, both in front of the camera and also working behind the scenes with people in the way that's much more in alignment with my being and what I've come here to do. So it's very interesting how it all unfolded and came together.
Super interesting. And that it's a great example. And thank you for sharing all of that. It's a great example for all of us listening, just to know that anything that we may be going through in life or have gone through in life, we won't have a clear picture right as we're experiencing the challenge as far as what's happening here. And now as I've evolved over the years, I actually like to ask, the question and just not need to know the answer right then and there. But anytime, I experience any challenge, or even if it's not considered like such a big challenge, even if it's like, there's, someone, cancels an appointment or something, and, I think I'm going to have this experience, but, I'm not having this experience anymore. I like to ask, like, what's behind the scenes, like what's going on that I don't see, that I'm excited to see how this unfolds. Maybe it's just, I needed a little time to just relax and like chill, versus, being on the go. So I wasn't always like that, but I like to be aware of that now. But it's interesting, your story made me think of my own Vanessa, because when I was in San Diego, I was pursuing a professional baseball career, played baseball in college, and I don't know if I would have ever stopped pursuing it if I hadn't have like really injured my shoulder, and I just like physically I couldn't do it anymore. So about 23 was when I knew, like I even tried to play a little bit professionally after that. But at 23, I kind of just knew there's another path for my life. And now looking back, even though that was like miserable going from that, because that was all I ever thought I was going to do, I wouldn't be doing anything that I'm doing now. I wouldn't have probably become aware of the things that I've become aware of that's given me peace and helped me in my life and been able to help other people. So many things that would be totally different if that path would have kept going. And if it wasn't, like you mentioned, not being able to get on the plane, you said the only way that you wouldn't get on the plane is because you had the infection on your face. I feel like the same way about the injury. It's like I would have probably pursued that until, all the years that I've been evolving, like in my mid-20s and all these things, I would have been trying to pursue, playing that sport. And who knows what would have happened. So I like how you painted that picture and the perspective just now looking back. I think that's awesome for all of us, just knowing that even if we can't figure out why things are happening now, we'll always be able to understand better as we kind of see, as life evolves and where we are now. So that's an awesome story.
Thank you. Yeah, I love that. Thanks for sharing. I mean, there's definitely a lot of parallel kinds of examples both of our lives and how they're similar in some ways.
Yeah,
With the way the paths kind of unfolded.
absolutely. A question that I thought of again, and I thought of earlier when you were sharing, because it's always fascinates me as well. Every once in a while, I'll speak to someone, and they'll start to become aware of some of their gifts, their intuitive abilities, and things of this nature when they're really young. And then I'm curious to ask, in those cases, because what I know is like when we come in as little, non or little physical beings, when we just came from non-physical, we're just these balls of unconditional loving energy. And then as we, get older and go to school and start comparing ourselves and, the world and ourselves telling us we're not enough and all these things, there has to be a light bulb moment as we, become adults. And that's why I do what I do, because I like to see the light bulb come on to where we remember who and what we truly are. But then every once in a while, I'll speak to someone that, will have this awareness as a kid, and then their parents will just allow them to evolve. Like they don't have the adult like in their life telling them, kind of suppressing it. Like, no, you don't see anything or hear anything. What was like your case? Were you able to just like evolve from a young age, or was there like a light bulb moment for you also as an adult?
That's a great question. My experience is a little different because it was very internal for me. So there wasn't a lot of vocalization or with my parents or with peers or friends at school, the kinds of intuitive or psychic, dare I say that, things that were coming through, the spiritual sort of connection. Now, I will say this. When I was younger, I dabbled a lot in psychology and I loved UFOs and anything about aliens. And, I used to go in my bedroom as a little girl and do light language with like crystal hands. And so I would do a lot of these kinds of interesting things that later on in my life I understood, but it was very much under the radar. I knew how to blend in and be normal, quote unquote. I knew how to, I knew that those things could freak people out, or that it wasn't something that I was seeing or hearing about from other people where I could then share, oh yeah, I have that experience too. Like there was none of that going on. My parents are both actually fairly into, they're not on this path, not anywhere kind of near or even remotely close to this path, but they're open, like they're very open. And I was like and all that. So it was a different kind of, upbringing versus the type of spirituality that I practice now. But for me, it was, I had no choice because for the time I was in the industry, my intuition was always there, but I really played in this world. I really here. I did the things that you would describe as just an average human being, just the things that were important to me were not so much about gifts. In fact, I didn't even really know or think in my 20s, like, wow, like I wish I could really, connect with, angels and guides and have these conversations or see over, like there was none of that happening. When I started to get back into my spirituality and I went through, we go through several awakenings, was around that 23, 22, 23, 24-ish age. That is when things started, like the light bulb started to come on more. And there was definitely more an activation happening. Like the energetic centers, the chakras, my awareness, things were starting on the subtle level to increase. And it was the relationship I was in at the time that was one of the catalysts for my gifts to come out more and more. And when I was with him, a lot of intuitive knowings, dreams, visions, signs and symbols everywhere showing me that this was not, that he was unfaithful, but there was nothing on the surface that looked any different. And what I realized looking back, because the all unfolded and came to be, it was training, like real experiential training for my intuitive abilities to come back online, as I call it. And it happened through this relationship, because everything that I knew from the moment that something felt off right to the very end was 100% accurate. The guidance I had been given, the dreams, the visions, the signs, the symbols, everything was so accurately descriptive that look after I ended that relationship, I was blown away at how precise the information was coming through. And that was the training school to learn how to trust my intuition. Now, did it just click like that and then I never doubted my gifts again? Absolutely not. From there, things just started to unfold. My, got activated, more got activated actually than even when I was a little girl. And that's what I was doing and working on with clients over the years. And then the whole other surprise for me, and that happened a little bit later on. And that was shocking. That was even more like it had been. I would say that probably freaked my parents out more than anything else was the trans channeling stuff out there if you're not familiar with it. And, it caught everybody kind of off guard. So, yeah, I mean, there was no squashing of those gifts, so to speak, from other people. It was more of my own sort of self-evolution and internalized of my gifts, and knowing when to reveal them, when it would be safe to reveal them, when it wasn't. But that light bulb, those moments started in I would say my early to mid 20s.
Awesome. And it's really cool for us as human beings when the light bulb does come on, and then we're open to just being aware of who and what we truly are. You start to have more, come through like you described, because like you're an open channel for it at that point. Can you touch on really quick the trans channeling? I'm curious to hear how you describe how that process goes, and I'm sure people in the audience are as well.
If you are familiar with Esther Hicks, who channels Abraham, Paul Selig, Bashar, there's, and he channels Barbara Marciniak. I channel the Pleiadian guides. So the easiest and most simplified way for me to describe it is we're all just channel different things. We're all on different frequencies. My frequency happens to tune into a channel that has the ability to bring through and physical vessel these Pleiadian guides, these higher consciousness celestial beings. The Pleiadians, if I had to describe, are basically us in the future of what we are able to advance into. They reside in the star system called the Pleiades, and they're very loving, kind, gentle, beautiful beings. They love beautiful things. They love music. They love lovemaking. They're very open, joyful, beautiful, and their vested interest is coming and helping us to alter and shift our consciousness to a higher state, so that we can remember who we are and we can advance, in a way that's more positive and loving. So I tune into this frequency, and when I am requested to channel for a client I basically close my eyes. I do certain exercises that help to prepare my vessel to bring that energy in, and then my personality gets pushed to the back of my head or my body, and this energy comes through, and it's usually a trio of beings. That's what people have seen. That's what I have seen and felt. And my voice, but they're using my vocabulary. They're using my consciousness. Sometimes they use words and things that I don't necessarily say regularly or maybe ever said, but feels different. It doesn't feel like me. And they will share a transmission. And a transmission is basically a vibrational, but it's a vibrational way of transmitting energy frequency through words. But it's not so much what the words are saying that's vibration in them, the transmission of that energy through them that helps to work on, basically it's like a tuning fork when I channel. It's moving subtle levels, on gross levels, on on causal levels, all the gunk, the stuff that's not in alignment anymore. And through the process of messages, and all of them are very specific, very practical. And then in the healing portion of my channeling, where it's the light language and there's this vocal, this operatic type toning, that's working on doing cleaning up of the energy system and the physical body. And then it's also bringing in more light, bringing energy for the system over time as it integrates it to be utilized to accelerate your path and your consciousness forward, your vibration forward. So very powerful and potent experience, something you have to kind of experience to know. And just to, yeah, what is, and once you've had the experience, then you're like, oh, I get it. It makes a lot of sense. It's not really that crazy or weird or anything. I mean, aside from the idea of just channeling aliens, like, I get that it's weird. I'm totally not one of those people that this is not weird. Like, be open, and I'm not like that. I'm really down to earth and very practical, and I just really look for the bridge between earth plane and the cosmic realm, and I'm the messenger in the middle, helping to contribute my gifts in the best way that I possibly.
I love it.
Does that make sense? Does that land?
No, I love it. I was already knew. I was fully with you the whole time. I wanted you to share for the audience from your perspective.
Yeah.
And I think, and I'm going to put this in quotes, I think all of us are weird because we're all so unique. So how can any of us?
Totally.
None of us are the same. So I think it's awesome. And I like how you describe right off the bat as far as channeling, because every one of us are always channeling from some frequency, just like you mentioned right off the bat.
Yeah.
So for me, like, what makes life so simple, and this is how I choose to live it, is the only thing that I really like to pay attention to is what's my frequency, what's my vibe right here and now. The only thing that I can control. And if it's one where I'm okay with, just for me, if it's at peace, if it's at content, if it's, I'm happy, joyful, excited, passionate, wanting to empower, whatever it is, then I know that from there, the only thoughts that I'm going to receive are a match to that vibe. And I can be very comfortable with what I'm going to speak from that point. My actions are going to be infused with that vibration. And the results I'm okay with, regardless of what they're going to be. I know I'm set up to have nice synchronicities flow into life, and not making myself wrong when I'm not on one of these frequencies that I enjoy, but I'm very aware of it. And the only thing that matters to me in life at that point is to return back to one of the frequencies that I enjoy. So that's, like, for me, that's kind of life in simplest form. And that's how I enjoy living. And it's fun because momentum will carry us. I don't have experience tuning into like the frequency that you're talking about, unless they just come in and I don't even know, which is possible. Because, like, I just enjoy seeing momentum rise and knowing that, like, the times where you'll be speaking, you're like, whoa, that was powerful, because it just, like, flows out. I can just feel, like, my frequency, like, rising and just more and more just coming through. I love speaking from that place. This is why I like having these conversations, because it inspires more and more of that. It's like, it's to tune into your frequency. That's one thing that I really enjoy about life, is being able to, because we're always co-creating. And so when we're with another human being, or second best thing, when we're connecting like this, I can tune into the frequency of whoever my attention is on and their attention is on me. And together we can go to a whole different place. Like, I could feel that all the time. And especially when someone's, like, with me, like, in person, I'm just like latching on to your frequency and, like, going wherever we can go from there. I love that part of life. So awesome. I love it. Okay, so
awesome.
Question for you, Vanessa. You've been doing it the whole time, but I'm just curious how you would share with the audience as far as just anything that you're inspired to share that you feel will benefit them in their lives. Maybe something foundational that you share with your clients, or just anything that's coming through you that you feel anytime they hear this episode would make an impact on their life.
Yeah, I'm actually taking a moment just to tune into who may be listening and seeing what kind of message can come through. I'm curious. I'm going to ask you, does the majority of your audience, are they healers, people who are actively working on themselves and want to help other people? Do you find that your audience is like that?
So because that's the only people that I talk to on the show, I think a lot of them will listen and then also invite others. But then it could just, everybody that's listening is expecting conversations like this. There's high vibe, and they know that what they're going to get from me. Like, there's nothing that you would say in this conversation that wouldn't inspire me to say something, because I'm just tuned into your frequency.
Because what's kind of coming through is, there's like this reminder, and I know that this is maybe a little cliche, but I want to preface this by saying that no matter how advanced we go on this path of personal and spiritual mastery, we always come back to the basics. It doesn't matter if you for 3 years, 2 months, 15, 20, 30 years, there's a tendency to always come back to the basics and the foundation of our work. And one, it's like, it's not just about focusing on helping others. And I see this a lot. Like, I want to be in contribution to others. And there's this idea of like, I got to save the world, I've got to help a lot of people. And then there's the forgetting of the self, the body, the self-care. I see this happening a lot in spiritual communities where there's a lot of this desire to, I want to go and channel those beings and I want to be out. I want to, experience that and I want to help people, but then the body is forgotten. And one of the things that I think is extremely important is that the body is the way to opening more in your spiritual development and to not forget it. And we call this like disembodied spirituality, where we tend to think the body is in the way, actually having these transcendental, experiences where we're blasted out of the body and, oh my God, I was seeing this and experiencing that, versus like act here, because everything we need is in this vessel to help us to be able to carry out our missions. And so, if there's one thing that I could say, it's being a spiritual being in your human body and not disassociating from it and not thinking that you need to focus on saving the world and of service to people at the expense of your own body, or thinking that, oh my gosh, this body is like such a pain because it limits me in terms of how deep or how high I can go in my meditations or in my, sound healing or whatever it might be. It's like, come back to the body and honor it, because this is the satellite, if you will, for all that you're receiving and transmitting. And the more that you disembody from it, that actually it's a stage in personal development and spiritual development. I have seen that. But eventually you're going to come back to the basic of really honoring the body and knowing that like you are here and that's carrying you day to day through every experience you're having. Please don't forget about it and dishonor that. And, live in the heart, live in where it's not just operating from your mind and what your mind thinks you should do, but like really dropping in and listening to what your body is saying, what your soul is saying, and coming back here. Ground, it's like, I always look at it this way. Oftentimes I meet people who are on a spiritual path and they've had lots of active energy sessions. They've been doing so much spiritual work, but they're like a wire off of an electrical pole line that's, going crazy. They're like, why am I not grounded? Why can't I get anything done? Why can't I make any money? Why can't I go and do this? And it's like, because you're not grounded. So our job is to be this that grounds the current of all of that energy through the nervous system all the way through into the earth. So imagine yourself as being that electrical pole, that whole wires all together, and like your nervous system is the current for all of that energy to go through and to move through you, but send it down to the earth. So it's this is something I always like to say to clients and to people, like, remember, you have a body and your body is there for a reason. If you weren't supposed to have a body, you would have been in a non-physical form ever you would have been. So, just come back to that, honor it. You have a body and you're here on earth for a reason. So maximize it while you're in this form.
I love that message. That's an awesome message. And my favorite part of just being aware of, we are physical and we all chose to come here and inhabit these physical shells, or else, like you said, we would have just stayed non-physical and, could have enjoyed and done whatever we decided to do from there. So knowing that no matter what anyone believes out there, I've never heard a story of like another Noel or another Vanessa like walking around here. Like, maybe our energy has inhabited a physical body at one point or another. That's another conversation. And maybe it will again, but it most likely won't be this one. So, because I haven't heard any stories about that. So, I love the ability to feel and to touch and to create things that are tangible. And all of us chose to come down here to add to all that is, by, our attention and our energy that we put into, the time that we're here. So awesome. Awesome example. Awesome advice. I love being physical personally. So it makes
Yeah.
combining the awareness that we're talking about energetically, which is, I mean, without that, I guess it's probably miserable to be physical because, I mean, I could think back to where I didn't have this awareness and life is just much more of a roller coaster. But once for all of us and for anybody listening that the light bulb has switched on, and I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, you're actively seeking for it to become even more and more aware, because all of us will become more and more aware of who and what we truly are the longer that we're here. It's just a forever thing, which makes it really fun. How powerful we are when we just discover more and more and more of that. And then to be able to flow all that
Mm-hmm.
energy, that all of us truly are. There's no special breed of humans. So, when I see awesome humans like you, Vanessa, that are doing these things and, channeling and helping people, and just living out your bliss, living out your passion, it's awesome because you're a reflection of me. I'm a reflection of you. And everybody else can look at Vanessa and say, wow, like she's flowing, she's choosing to flow the same powerful energy that all of us truly are through her life experience and what, she's drawn to. And for you out there, you have different life experience and are drawn to something different and you flow the same powerful energy.
Mm-hmm.
So I just look at humanity and just humans as you guys are out there living, because I'm rooting for everybody. I'm just excited to see what you're flowing your energy into, because that energy is me. But I don't have that life experience, but I'm learning from the things that you're doing and being inspired by them to go flow my energy into the things that I'm inspired to create. So I love that. I love being physical,
Yes.
and I love that message. That's awesome.
Cool. I'm glad you.
Yeah, no, you're awesome, Vanessa. Anything that you want to promote to the audience that you're excited about right now that you have going on, or you want them to know about, definitely follow Vanessa on social media. And what I know about life and what's so much fun once we connect with people on social media or in person, obviously, is whatever Vanessa chooses to create, here on out, like it's gonna be the same awesome energy that you're feeling from her in this conversation. So you can expect it to be, awesome creation, whatever she chooses to put her attention and focus into. What are you excited about right now here at the time of this recording, beginning of 2020?
Yeah, yeah. Well, the book is definitely I mean, and that's not something that but it will be. But that's a big process that I'm in right now. I'm also doing a lot of collaboration actually this year. So if you stay in touch with me and you follow me on social, so if you go to my website, vanessapetronelli.com, and you sign up for my free gift, my Amplify Your Wealth guided meditation, it's like up leveling your frequency to allowing more flow of wealth into your life, then I will be able to stay in touch with you and tell you about some of those collaborations. They're really exciting. They're really juicy. They're coming up. But I mean, one of the things that I consistently offer when I have the space, and right now I do have a little bit of room at the time of recording this for private client to come in either for my Sovereign Success Immersion, or we could do my Sacred Soul session program that I have, which is a little bit shorter than the Sovereign immersion. But you can check that all out at my website, and you can schedule a 20-minute clarity session if you're interested in working together potentially and finding out if it's a fit for me to help you and assist you in your head on over to my website and my social media, and you can stay in touch through there.
Awesome. And definitely, I always share this, Vanessa. If in life, if there's even a slight energetic pull towards anything, like Vanessa just shared, that you're like, that sounds interesting. That's a really great next action step, because there's some clarity there for us. Like there's a life experience there, and just like every life experience, like you're gonna discover some things that you're like, ooh, I really like that, and you can continue on like moving in that direction. And there might be some things where you discover, in any life experience, you're like, I don't want to experience much more of that, but I'm happy I have that experience now, because I could take the parts that I do like and flow that direction. So every life experience, even the most challenging ones for any of us, are actually super beneficial for that reason. So definitely, if you have any energetic pull, like do it. It'll be a really great next step on the journey. Speaking of books, Vanessa, which ones can you recommend, two that are behind you for the audience, whichever ones are the first ones that pop out?
Oh yeah, I have a whole bunch
I see them.
in Canada in storage. I've got tons of books. This is not even
Of
even
course.
a small portion of it. One of my favorite books that I would absolutely recommend, I say this to everyone, Soul by Michael Singer. Really phenomenal book.
You said Seed of the Soul?
One's behind, pardon me?
Which did you say? Seed of the Soul?
The Untethered Soul.
Untethered Soul.
Yeah,
Got it.
Untethered Soul.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, Michael Singer. That is a must. A must. I'm reading Big Magic. I'm a little behind. I haven't been as much of a voracious reader as I have been in the past. So I've got a whole bunch of things going on, but definitely check. And then any other ones behind me? Oh, God, there's so many. Oh, I love anything Brene Brown.
And can we expect YouTube videos with you playing that guitar there, or is that not right
no.
now?
I used to be able to play for able to sing and play, and then I stopped. I didn't pick up the guitar for a while, and now I forget, and I have to go back for lessons. But singing, maybe, yeah, that I'm definitely more comfortable with. But I gotta get back into the guitar playing, and then maybe a YouTube video.
Awesome. You know more about the guitar than 99% of the rest of the planet, which because your life experience. So your got to get back in is still much further along than most of us. I love
I
it.
don't know anymore, to be honest. I feel like I'm back at square one, really.
I love it. I love it. Well, this has been fun. I really appreciate you for coming on and sharing your love and light with the audience, and definitely excited to see how your journey evolves with your book and everything that you're doing. And just appreciate you for coming on and sharing. And excited for all of us out there. Happy New Year, everyone. I decided, Vanessa, I'm going to share that with everywhere, all the time, all year. Happy New Year, because when's the cutoff date for that? So I've been saying it. 2020.
Okay, New Year, every moment, right?
Every moment, for sure. Well, appreciate you guys out there for tuning in. I didn't see any alerts come up for questions, but I will check really fast before I sign off. Oh, I did have a question yesterday that I missed. Are you inspired to answer? I told them I would address this. I'm doing 2 live streams today, so we'll either address it on this one or the next one. But the question was, what's the best way to deal with guilt? If you're inspired to share anything on that, go for it. Unless I'll answer on the next one.
Well, I mean, the short answer on question, I need to have a little bit more context on that, is, the best way to deal with guilt is to go into the guilt. The only way out is through. So guilt is one of the heavier, denser, energetic frequencies, but it's not to be something that's pushed down any longer, or you pretend, you avoid it. The best way is to go into the guilt and get clear on where the core wound is. What is context of the guilt. What are you feeling guilty from? What are you holding? And really taking yourself through your own healing journey of that. Part of process is acknowledging all aspects of ourselves. And when we're carrying some sort of emotion or frequency or feeling of guilt, it's there for a reason, to be looked at, learned from, and healed. And when I say healed, it's not that we're broken and we need to fix it. It's returning yourself back to wholeness, yourself back to love. It's looking at that guilt and saying, thank you for the gifts you've given me. I want to learn from you now. I'm here to listen to what you have to say, so that I can carry you in this way and I can transmute you. So that's what I would say around the guilt piece, just real quick. Don't be afraid to go into it. It's not, it looks scarier than it actually is. We have to be able to feel our way through things and then be able to process.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that. I just wanted to make sure if there's anything coming out of you that you were able to flow that. Guilt's an interesting one because, for one, and this is where I am in life, I don't condemn or blame or make someone wrong for anything that they're doing, because regardless of what it is that they're doing it from a specific frequency, like we were talking about here. And I'm human as well, so who's to say I have the same capability of experiencing life in a frequency that might be angry or blaming or judging or mad or powerless or depressed or whatever. And we've all been there. So any action that we take, and I would need more context on the guilt as well. But if someone is if you feel bad because you acted a certain way or didn't act a certain way, I can give myself grace, knowing that if I know that I was acting at all, which is my number one priority in life, to not do this, to be able to act and speak from the frequency that I like to be in, But if I know that I wasn't and I
Mm-hmm.
happen to be speaking to someone, like I know that nothing that I was saying is what I'm okay with. So I can easily say, I can easily apologize and like, hey, this is where I was, like vibrationally, energetically. I don't like being there, and I know that's where I was when I was interacting with you. So just know that how you'll generally hang out with me and like play with me is going to be in these frequencies, like I like to be in. And so I'm not making anybody wrong, and I'm not making myself wrong, because I just can be aware of where I'm acting from in the moment, and just taking care of that, and being okay with sharing with someone, hey, if I was being, if I spoke to you and I was in this frequency, I know that there was probably nothing good coming from there. It's been years since I've allowed myself, like literally, if I'm not feeling my best, I'm either meditating or, doing something that I know that raises my frequency, or else, because if I know that I'm not feeling my best, I'm human too, and like you call me, I'm just not answering. Like I'm not gonna put you through that,
Yeah.
or myself, because I'll feel worse if I speak to someone from that place and I get off the phone. I'm like, I wish I just wouldn't even have that conversation. Now I feel even worse. So it's just
Right.
being a present moment awareness of our vibe and our energy, our mood is very important, because you're just not going to be pleasant for yourself or others if you're flowing from a disempowered place, anxiety place or worry place,
Right.
or worse. So I love it. Well, I appreciate you, Vanessa. And
Awesome.
yeah, thank you guys out there for,
Uh,
this is awesome. Like the conversation that I would have wanted to have with you anyway, and I'm just happy that we could record it and share it and impact whoever it's meant to impact. So, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Enlightened Conversations. Definitely share this episode with anyone that popped into your mind, and definitely no coincidence, you'll impact them. And rate and review and subscribe if you're not already. Make it easier for people to find these beautiful episodes, and we'll keep talking to awesome humans like Vanessa, and sharing the love and light with you guys. Have an amazing day whenever you hear this, and positive vibes to you all, and we'll talk to everybody soon. Awesome. So much fun, Vanessa. You're
that
not.
was great. Awesome.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. And again, once I knew you were down in San Diego, I'm just envisioning all of my sending loving blessings to all of my people in San Diego.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, it was fun. I'm with you, and appreciate your energy and your enthusiasm for what you've created as well. A podcast is definitely on my horizon. Finding the time to do it because it's a lot of work. So I really acknowledge you for being consistent. I think that I saw that you had like 79 episodes. Well, the last time that might have been the latest one. I don't know.
There's 10 more recorded right now. Like I'm trying to put them out every day. So I won't really allow myself. There's been a few times where I've done more, but I won't really allow myself to record more than 2 in a day, just because I want to be able to give like just full energy.
It's a lot.
Yeah, the third one I might be like dragging. I don't want that. so, but yeah.
No. Yeah, you want to be present. You want to have energy for it. But like, good for you. Like you've done quite a few, and you've been committed to it, because that is consistency and commitment to getting the podcast out. And that's where I'm like, I already have everything planned. I know about 15 episodes to talk about and who I might want to bring in. But it's just a matter of starting it, and that's where I'm kind of like, what do I do? Do I do it on my own, or do I hire somebody to come in to help me? I'm not going to do all the editing and all this stuff. So, I kudos to you for being so committed to getting this out there. So
the editing is that's the part of it for sure. And a lot of times it's the picking out which clips I want to use to promote it. And a lot of times, because we're flowing such awesome energy, like it's like I could put the whole in any segment I could put as a highlight clip. So it's like so mine, like Instagram, like the IGTV videos can be 15 minutes, and I find my promotional videos typically are like pushing the 15-minute mark, because I keep pulling like additional clips. So I just want people to get the value and the impact that it can make for them. And
of course,
I like where my vibe goes.
Send me over everything.
Yeah.
So I'll promote it on my end to my audience, and please let me know when you're gonna. I can't tell you how many podcasts I've done in the last while where people have stopped their podcasts and then they don't air the episodes anymore.
Oh, that sucks.
Or like, editing for months, and I have no idea what's going on. So just let me know when you're going to post it so that I can promote it too, and I can send it to my audience, because I know that they enjoy that.
Yeah, and the next this will be out in the next 10 to 12 days. It just depends if I take how many days off I take in the mix, but I think I have. I think you're the 10th one, so I think you'll be like something like episode 90 or something like that.
Cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Awesome, Noel. Thank you so much for having. It was
Yeah,
wonderful connecting with you, and I definitely look forward to staying in touch and promoting our episode and all of that. You've got a great energy and what you're up to. So thank you for inviting me
absolutely.
on today.
Absolutely. I appreciate you. And no, thanks for your time and enjoy your
Mhm.
weekend out there in
Yes, you
SoCal.
too. Enjoy the beach. Probably a little bit warmer, and you've got nicer water to swim in too there. So
Much warmer water
Miami's
here.
great.
It just warmed up. We had
Cool.
actually a cold night, like 2 nights in a row where it was in the 40s this week, which is so crazy for us. Yeah.
Wow.
So now it's back to normal. It's like 75 right now. So it's beautiful right now.
Oh,
So
beautiful.
yeah,
Get outside and enjoy your time outdoors and your weekend. And I look forward to hearing from you soon.
definitely. Talk to you soon. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.